Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the July 17th, 2025 regular meeting of the Transportation Commission. Would the secretary please call roll?
Commissioner Ash,
Here.
Commissioner Patch,
Here.
Commissioner Reese, absent. Student Commissioner Kirsch,
Here.
Vice Chair Krelling,
Here.
and Chair Brightman.
Present. Okay. I know, new last name. Surprise. Well, not a surprise, but. Okay, so we're going to move on to the second agenda item, public communications. This portion of the meeting is reserved for comment on items not on the agenda. Under the Brown Act, the commission cannot act on items raised during public communications, but may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed, request clarification, or refer the item to staff. At this time, I will open this item up for public comment. Do we have any members of the public wishing to comment on items not on the agenda?
We have no members of the public wanting to provide public comment, not on the agenda.
Okay. We will move on to item number 3, the consent calendar. Approval of the minutes from the May 15th, 2025 meeting. Do I have a motion for the approval of the minutes from the May 15th, 2025 commission meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. The secretary can please call roll.
Student Commissioner Kirsch,
Aye.
Commissioner Reese, absent. Vice Chair Krelling,
Aye.
Chair Brightman.
Aye. I think you skipped Commissioner Patch, right?
Commissioner Patch,
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
and Commissioner Ash.
Oh, and Commissioner, I'm sorry. Great. All right.
on board.
Okay. Now on to some of the meat of the meeting here. Items for consideration. A is the Treat Boulevard Bicycle Project. At this time, I would like to invite staff to provide their presentation.
So, evening commissioners. My name is Brianna Byrne. I'm an associate traffic engineer here at the City of Walnut Creek. And presenting on the Treat Boulevard corridor improvements is Mo Nasser with the county. And to help with the presentation, he has brought a consultant as well, David.
Just getting situated. Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Mo Nasser, and I'm the project engineer on this project. And I work with Contra Costa County Public Works Transportation Engineering Division. I hope everybody can hear me. Well, okay, awesome. So yes, today we'll be presenting the Treat Boulevard Corridor Improvements Project. We'll start with project background. So as you can see here, the absence of bicycle facilities along Treat Boulevard between North Main Street in the city of Walnut Creek and Jones Road in unincorporated Contra Costa County presents barriers for access to and from the Contra Costa Center Transit Village, particularly for bicyclists and pedestrians. To address these barriers, the Contra Costa County Department of Conservation and Development developed the I-680 Treat Boulevard Bicycle and Pedestrian Plan in 2017. And the Treat Boulevard Corridor Improvement Project really implements the feasibility study by constructing context-appropriate Class 4 separated bikeways along Treat Boulevard between Jones Road and North Main Street in both directions, as well as improving pedestrian refuge islands, crosswalks, traffic signal timing, and signage. The project is on Contra Costa County's list of approved projects and is in the city's 10-year capital improvement program. Approximately 20% of the improvements are within the city's jurisdiction, and we will start looking at these proposed improvements in the next slide. So this is really the section of the project that is within the city's jurisdiction, and that is between North Main Street. I wonder if this is a laser pointer. Oh, perfect. Or doesn't work. Yeah, I guess I'll just. Do you know if we can point anything on the? Oh yeah, the mouse. Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, so I'll use this laser pointer. Perfect.
That's cool. Jinx.
So yes, the proposed improvements shown here, you see the plan here. So with the proposed improvements based on 65% design plans, and they are superimposed on an aerial view to see how these improvements fit the aerial and the existing conditions. So as you see in both directions, we are going to construct class 4 bike lanes, which means that they are bike lanes that are separated from the travel lanes with vertical delineators, and also a tough curb XLP, which is a low profile curbing system. And you see this in the cross section right here. So this is section A, where the red line is drawn. So this is looking in this direction. So this is the westbound direction, and this is the eastbound direction. North is looking up, westbound is this way, eastbound is this way. So we'll start, maybe the best way to go over the improvements is starting with the westbound lane. In addition to the separated bikeways, we will also be channelizing the bicyclists onto a new bike crossing, as well as signalizing this right turn lane. So eliminating free right turn lanes is a major aspect of this project, because free right turn lanes are just not helpful or less safe for pedestrians and bicyclists to maneuver. So for this free right turn lane that we see here in the picture, this is the existing condition. We will be signalizing the right turn lane for peds and bicyclists to cross on the red arrow, right arrow. Also, you see here the pedestrian refuge island being modified to accommodate both bicyclists and pedestrians, as well as we see here darker colored crosswalks, meaning that these crosswalks will be improved with high visibility striping, as well as the bike crossings here shown in the green thermoplastic with the ladder pavement marking. Also, you notice that there are bike boxes here for the bicyclists traveling in the westbound direction. So bicyclists wanting to go to the southbound North Main Street bike lane, they can wait here for the traffic signal to go green. So these are mainly the improvements in the westbound direction. Also, I want to note that another element of this project is narrowing the travel lanes from 12 feet to a mix of 11 feet and 12 feet. So a lot of studies show that narrowing down travel lanes also slow down vehicular drivers, and that is a major problem on Treat Boulevard. That is the higher speeds. So with narrowing down travel lanes, adding these vertical delineators will create some visual barriers for drivers, so in hopes that they will be driving slower. As for the eastbound direction, as you see also, there is going to be a separated bikeway with a vertical delineator, a mix of also 11-foot and 12-foot wide bike lanes, until we get to this intersection, which is the Buskirk Avenue and I-680 off-ramp. So I will highlight this here first, and then I'll move to the next slide. So here we are closing the free right turn lane coming from the I-680 off-ramp, the northbound, and replacing it with 2 dedicated right turn lanes, 1 through lane and 1 left turn lane. And David, in a little bit, will be discussing the traffic operations analysis and how this will impact traffic, especially the concern is the I-680 northbound main line. So the closure of right turn lanes will be very helpful for bicyclists and pedestrians to cross in a more safe manner. I'll talk about this corner in the next slide. Sorry. And this is also a 3D rendition of how this street section looks like in 3D. So this is just before turning right onto the North Main Street, the northbound North Main Street. You see the separated bikeways in both directions. And this is the right turn lane that is signalized. And yeah, the through lane, the two left turn lanes, and also the separated bikeway on the eastbound side. This is the second segment of the project. So this is between Buskirk Avenue and Oak Road. Also, we'll start with the westbound direction. Here there are some distinctions from the previous slide, where you'll notice that here there is a bike lane that is going around the BART column, if you're familiar with this area, of course. So yeah, this will provide a more protected Class 4 bike lane around the BART column and before rejoining the Class 4 bike lane in the westbound direction and channelizing bicyclists onto the pedestrian refuge island at this corner. And yeah, here we are modifying this free right turn. We are removing it and we are closing it with this nicely designed pedestrian refuge island, which will also incorporate a new crosswalk, a bike crossing, and also a modified curb ramp. Then bicyclists will be able to continue on to the bike lane, the westbound bike lane that I showed earlier. Another distinction here along the westbound lane is that we will be closing this slip lane that is shown here at the right corner, upper corner. And so yeah, this slip lane will be converted to a dedicated bike lane that will later on be converted to a shared use path for pedestrians and bicyclists to use. And yeah, this shared use path will continue and connect to what is now the sidewalk that is 10 foot wide. So all of this will turn into a shared use path. The goal of this, again, we are implementing that 2017 feasibility study, and this is more for the casual bicyclists who want to stay within the Contra Costa Center. So this is the westbound lane, and as for the eastbound lane, the vehicular lane that goes around the BART column on this side will be converted to a bike lane, dedicated bike lane. And then over here, there will be like 2 left turn lanes, 2 through lanes, and 1 through right. And also bike boxes are incorporated into the Oak Road intersection in both directions. And this is also a road section in 3D just before the intersection with Oak Road, or sorry, with Buskirk Avenue. So here we see the separated bikeway, the Class 4, the vertical delineators, the travel lanes, same on the eastbound side. What this 3D does not capture is the off-street shared use path because we're quite limited with StreetMix, the software that creates this. And finally, this is the Oak Road to Jones Road segment, also in unincorporated Contra Costa County. So here, it's also different in this segment with a couple of constraints. One of them is the parallel parking that is along the westbound lane. So in the feasibility study, after, of course, it was vetted for a couple of years by county, city, and Caltrans, there was a demand to keep this parallel parking. So we were quite restricted with what we can do curb to curb. So as a result, it's going to be a Class 2 bike lane here, just in this segment, as shown here. So this cross-section shows the parking lane, the right turn lane, the bike lane, the travel lanes, the turn lanes, in the westbound direction. As for the eastbound direction, here we are also incorporating Class 4, separated from travel lanes with vertical delineators. And also finally closing the free right turn onto Jones Road, also shown here in a picture. This is the existing condition. So we are closing this free right turn lane for, again, more safe and crossing movement for both bicyclists and pedestrians. And finally, this bike box for those who want to turn left onto northbound Jones Road. And this is also a 3D rendition just before turning right onto Oak Road, or just east of Oak Road intersection, where this is shown. This is the Class 2 bike lane, parking lane, and the separated bikeway in the eastbound direction. And now I want to talk about collision profiles. So Contra Costa County developed Vision Zero. It's a plan that aims to eliminate fatal collisions and collisions with high severity. So that's KSI. So there are a few collision profiles in Vision Zero. So the 3 collision profiles that this project addresses are collision profile number 5, and that is collisions at signalized intersections of major 5+ lanes. And I have the countermeasures in the Vision Zero that apply to this project, and they are reconfiguring or removing the slip lanes, permissive turns to be protected, and that is at the North Main Street intersection that I just described, and signal timing improvements, because we are improving the signal timing for all intersections to incorporate and accommodate all movements, both vehicular and pedestrian and bicyclists. The second profile that this project addresses is collision profile number 7, and that is bicycle-involved broadside collisions at urban intersections. And this project implements prohibiting right turns on red, bike boxes, 2-stage turn queue bike boxes, green bike lane, conflict zone markings, and protected facility on intersection approaches. And finally, collision profile number 10, pedestrian-involved collisions at signalized urban intersections. And the countermeasures that apply to this project, or that this project implements, are installing high visibility crosswalks, curb extensions, leading pedestrian intervals, reconfiguring or removing slip lanes, and finally, pedestrian refuge islands. And this is the City of Walnut Creek's local roadway safety plan, a path to Vision Zero. Also, the city has a Vision Zero plan, of course. And the North Main Street, Geary Road, Treat Boulevard intersection has the 2nd highest number of injury and fatal collisions within the City of Walnut Creek. Actually, similarly, I have also a table with me that has also the intersections at Buskirk, Oak Road, and Jones Road, ranking at numbers 2, 4, and 7 in the county too. So also these intersections rank high in the high collision list in the county. The city-specific collision trends that are representative of the project corridor include Profile 2, large intersections with slip lanes, Profile 3, speeding along large roadways, and Profile 9, bicycles along wide roadways. For the next 2 slides, I have David Mahama with me from DKS. He's the traffic engineer on this project, or in the traffic engineering team. So David, would you please?
Thank you, Mo. So DKS has been involved in this project right from the beginning. So I'm happy that I'm happy that we had the chance to continue with the project. But I must say that the plan that we have right now is a significant improvement over the preferred alternatives that was looked at. And the plan that we have, as Mo has said, has a lot of safety features incorporated in the plan. So what we did was to analyze the preferred alternative that we were looking at before and the refined plan that Mo has showed you. So we'll be looking at some numbers here. So what we did was we used the Synchro software to do the level of service analysis, which looks at the performance of the intersections themselves, and then also use the same traffic tool to analyze queuing at movements of interest, which I'm going to point out to you. So if you look at this table here, we have the level of service analysis results, the no-build. We used a 2040 horizon volumes to do the analysis. So that's what we did. So as you can see, we have the no-build scenario. That is, if you don't do the project, what would the level of service look like? And then if you do the project, what would it look like? So as you can see, there'll be some, marginal deterioration of level of service. And of course, you're improving the facility, making it safe for bicyclists and pedestrians. So there will be some trade-offs, but these are not significant, trade-offs that we need to make with the safety and, providing the ped and bike facility that this project will offer. So next. So the next one is a direct comparison of the what we call the preferred alternatives and what we are looking at now. So what we're looking at now is what we say we have mitigation measures. As you can see, without the mitigation measures, looking at, for example, the Treat Boulevard and I-680 Basket intersection, we're going to have queuing on the northbound approach for like 1,240 feet. But, you know, the length of the ramp itself is about 1,000 feet. So that would, you know, bring traffic to the freeway, which Caltrans doesn't want to see. So we had to come up with measures to address this specific issue. And what we did was we recommended eliminating the east crosswalk, because with the reconfiguration of the lanes, you now have a double right-turn lane, which would help with the operation of the ramps, particularly during the AM peak. So eliminating that crosswalk, yes, there's going to be a trade-off, but we looked at the volume of pedestrians, right, that are using that particular crosswalk is very minimal. And then you also have the Oak Road crossing, which is about 640 feet away from that. So we think that would provide an alternative for people who would otherwise have used the crosswalk at the ramp. So eliminating that crosswalk provided some opportunities. So that helped reduce the queuing from 1,240 to 529, which will be contained in the ramp. So that addressed that Caltrans concern. And then if you look at the Treat Boulevard and the Gary Road, for example, with the westbound right turn, as it is today, it's a free right. There is no queuing, right? But we want to make it safe for pedestrians. We want to make it safe for pedestrians and also for bicyclists. So putting the bike lane on the right side of the right turn lane and then signalizing that right turn approach is a trade-off. But then we're going to have some safety right there. So with that, the queuing will increase for that right turn traffic to about 29 feet, which is about less than 2 vehicles. But I might add that with the signalization, what we're going to do is we would have the right turn go on red when there's no pedestrians. But when the pedestrian or cyclist push the button, then we have a no right turn on blank out sign that's going to come on to prevent warn motorists not to make that right turn. So that's the feature that you're going to have over there. So we think it's a win-win situation in that front. And then let's look at which other intersection. Treat and Oak Road, right? So we have during the PM peak, we have a relatively heavy right turn, southbound right turn. But even with the recommended improvements and optimizing the signal, we will be able to improve the queuing reduce the queue length from 201 to 194. So that's about it. At Jones in particular, we're going to have a deterioration in the level of service. This is because that intersection is a split operation for north and south. So that's a trade-off that we would have to live with. If you look at the numbers closely, you will see that there's probably some slight increase in the level of service at the intersections. But this is due to the fact that when we optimize the corridor, we're giving priority to focused priority to the I-680 off-ramp, right? So what it means is that you're now pumping more traffic on Treat Boulevard, right? So that's why you're seeing the numbers on Treat Boulevard. But it addresses Caltrans' concern, and it's not too bad, as I would put it. So that's the result that we got from the project. Thank you.
All right, thanks, David. And final 2 slides are on the project status and the project funding. So the total project cost at the moment is currently estimated at $6,220,000. The county is funding this project with grant funding, and namely the State Transportation Improvement Program, STIP funds, the Highway Safety Improvement Program, HSIP, Central County Area of Benefit funds, and local road funds. The city's portion of the project is $1.3 million and is expected to be funded by Transportation Fund for Clean Air Grant, TFCA, Traffic Impact Fees, TIF, and Measure J. And finally, on the project status, 65% design plans, specifications, and estimate have been completed. And the project right now is at 95% stage, which is considered the final design stage. The project has acquired environmental clearance, NEPA and CEQA, in April 2025. Final design specifications and estimate are expected in December 2025, and Caltrans has been coordinating this project with us, and they reviewed the 65% design plans. And also we have been, of course, coordinating this project with the city's design team as well. County is currently coordinating the underground utility relocation process, which is a very lengthy process. Construction is currently expected to be in the fall of 2026, barring any utility relocation delays. The project is seeking additional funds due to the increased estimated construction costs. And with this, yeah, thank you for listening, and yeah, we're here for the questions and the comments, really.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. I'd like to open it up to the commissioners for any questions. This is a complicated project, so I'm sure there are some.
Absolutely.
We'll start at the end. Student commissioner, if you have any questions.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I was just wondering if you could explain the difference between the different classes of bike lanes. Is that just referring to the size, or yeah?
Absolutely. So yes, the classes of the bike lanes here and this project are class 1, which is a completely like the off-street path that is not related to, or it's on a different level to the travel lanes. So you see them here. So this one, for example, is considered off-street path. So this one is a class 1, so completely separated from traffic, right? Class 4 are considered or are called separated bikeways, and they can be separated from the travel lane at the level of the road. For this project, the separation is using the buffer lane and also vertical delineators. Class 2 is the one that we see between Oak Road and Jones Road. This one is a class 2 just because of those geometric constraints I was talking about. And class 3 are the ones that we would definitely not use on Treat Boulevard, and that is the shared roadway. Like you see those bike markings on the road, asking cars and bicyclists to share the road.
Okay.
So that would be a class 3.
Okay. And then I had another question, because I was noticing that on Main Street and then I-680, there would be around like a minute to almost 2 minutes of delays. So I was wondering how that would affect first responders or emergency services, and if you had a plan for that.
Right. So we have sent the 65% design plans and the traffic impact analysis to CHP and the fire district. Also, they were part of the 2017 plan. They were one of the many stakeholders involved. I believe that the choice of the vertical delineators, part of it was their involvement as well. But as far as delays, David, do you have any question? The main thought is the trade-off idea that David was mentioning, that because we are accommodating bicyclists and pedestrians, then there's an impact on the traffic delays. But yeah, it's a matter of prioritizing peds and bicyclists on a street that is very close to a BART station, knowing that it will have an impact on the traffic. We received no comments from CHP, no comments from fire district, and we're still waiting for comments from the other two agencies. But we are in coordination with them, and
Okay.
If they have any concerns, they would definitely let us know.
Thank you. And then I had one final question. Because you said the project required additional funding,
Mm-hmm.
so I was wondering if that was included in the total cost, or if that was something extra.
That is more for we are expecting that these costs may may get higher for 95% design after, because of a lot of comments from Caltrans. Caltrans has been reviewing the plans, so those modifications may cause higher costs, but at the moment we don't have a value in particular, so there's a probably or may increase costs further.
Okay.
But we will know more by December 2025.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you for your questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Ash, do you have questions?
Yeah. Okay. First, you have me curious. Who's number one? What's like the worst intersection?
The priority, for the
Because you
collisions.
said this is like 2, 4, and 7, I think. So where's number one?
Right. So number one is Bailey Road at Canal Road North. So that's in another
In
area.
Pittsburgh, Bay Point area, right?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the county Vision Zero plan for Walnut Creek. It's Oak
We have
Grove,
different hotspots.
Oak Grove
Yeah.
Ignacio.
Yeah. I was just kind of curious. Okay. So my next question is like, there is a very nice bike trail and one of the nicest pedestrian and bike bridges right in this spot. It's less than 0.2 of a mile from what we're talking about. What am I missing? Why aren't people taking that instead of coming right through this area?
Unfortunately, I wasn't part of the 2017 study. I wonder how much that was discussed at the time. Like the county received this study and we applied for a grant to implement the improvements that were proposed. I personally learned of this path further down the line, like in the design process. I had a similar question to my team. And it's about prioritizing Treat Boulevard or adding different modes of transportation along Treat Boulevard. That was the main goal of that study. And here we are trying to implement it. There were discussions about North Main Street also needing to be striped also, because right now it's not striped, that one segment that connects you to Lesnick Lane or close to there. So yes, I mean, maybe it can be approached like this. Maybe it's up to the bicyclists then to choose which path they want. Is it the faster path, the more direct path, the shorter path along Treat Boulevard, or they want the more casual experience to just go down to that canal trail? But yeah, I did have a similar question to the planning team, and yeah, we're
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's an honest answer. I appreciate that. And then I like how you, and this might be for you, is I like how you did all this analysis and you're talking to Caltrans and everything. CCTA has about $200 million in grant funds to improve this section of 680 with changing lanes, adding in the tolling lane, bringing in the 24 crossing, and fixing a couple of these interchanges. And there is in that plans to adjust this interchange and North Main and what is it, Monument that's next, to improve this traffic flow. How is that incorporated into all of these? Because that will change everything too.
Yeah, I would think that is a definite question to Caltrans, and I'm surprised that with all the teams, like there are so many teams that reviewed the 65% plans, none of them actually commented about this. Maybe they did not know about these future improvements or when they're going to be constructed, because sometimes the plans stay in the plan phase for however many years. Yeah, that is probably a question to ask for us to ask Caltrans about the future improvements on I-680 and how they would tie into this project.
Yeah, please, because yeah, that is funded. CCTA does have the $200 million from the feds. It's definitely here. So.
Oh, 200 billion, you said? Or sorry.
Okay, I'll save the rest for comments. Probably. Oh.
Did you say 200 million?
So there's 165. Yeah, 165
Mike.
million, and then a second for I want to say 62. So what is that? That's actually
Turn on your mic.
Oh, it's I think there's one for 165 million and one for 60. Do you know? Is she coming in?
Hey, Smidar, Boardman, City Engineer. Sorry, I just wanted to help clarify. So, Jared, yes, we are aware of the grant that was received by CCTA for those improvements. That ramp is still going to remain fundamentally the same. The change is actually a little bit before that. So, with these changes, if anything, the improvements that they're making with that funding, it would actually make this better than what was actually analyzed. And so again, Caltrans did review this information as well, and they also have been privy to, it's part of the Innovate 680 project, but doing that braided, it's called a braided ramp at Treat.
Awesome. That was the answer I was looking for. Thank you for coming up.
Thanks.
All right.
Set. All right, Commissioner Patch.
That actually answered one of my questions. Okay. Can you go to slide 6, please?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. On this slide, you have the 1 through and 1 right turn on Oak from Treat. No.
Sorry.
That one. Yeah.
Yes.
The 1 through 1 right.
Uh-huh.
Just curious, when you did the traffic analysis for making that a through and right and having eliminated the lane that goes around the BART pillar, whatever that is called, because there's significantly more housing now on Jones Road, with future plans to continue to build housing in that direction. And so I think that right turn, like, do we have when you looked at it for 2040, did you anticipate an increase in right turns because of the increase in housing that direction?
Yes. So are you talking about Oak Road itself? Is it the
From
eastbound right or the southbound?
Eastbound, right, yeah.
Eastbound right.
eastbound right, yeah.
Yes. So that was the 2040 model took into consideration that project that you're talking about.
Okay, great.
I'm sorry. So I said the 2040 volume, the 2040 volumes that we projected took into consideration that project.
Great. Can you move forward to slide 10, please? Okay. So you did say on this slide that you looked at some of the signalized timing. A lot of what you displayed is the west-east bound lanes and not north-south. Are you looking at the signalized timing for those, especially left turns onto Treat Boulevard?
Yes, so what we try to do is, given the the roadway that we have, right? We were trying to get the best operating condition that we can have. So what we tried to do was to optimize the intersection. So this report shows the optimized operating conditions that serves all movements.
Okay.
Pretty much. That's what we try to do.
Okay. Sorry, and can you go back to slide, I think it's 6 again. Might be slide 7. 6. Okay. I just have a lot of concerns about this Treat Oak intersection, so I have more questions about it. Sorry. Because, to your point, while Oak or Treat and Jones intersects elsewhere, a lot of traffic uses this Oak to Jones to get to where the housing on Jones is. So on this particular intersection on Oak to Treat, from the northbound turning left onto Treat, right? That's also where you have people turning right from Oak onto Treat, so then go up to the Buskirk. Is that how you say that name? Yeah.
Buskirk, yeah.
That, which leads to an on-ramp to 680. So there's consistently issues with traffic with people trying to get over as far as they need to. And those people turning left from Oak onto Treat frequently are still turning while pedestrians are crossing the crosswalk. And since that is coming from BART to where housing is, did you do a specific analysis on the impact on that particular danger?
So which crosswalk are you looking at? So
The Treat Boulevard at the Oak intersection that's
okay, so you're
going
saying,
north-south.
those making a right and then the pedestrians also crossing, right?
Yes, so people from Oak turning left onto Treat, where pedestrians are walking across Treat
Let me see.
along Oak.
Okay, so you talk about the northbound left hand, right?
Yes,
Northbound left hand from Oak
yes,
to go west, right?
yeah,
And then the pedestrians using that crosswalk. So that is, the thing is that left hand is a protected left, right?
Correct.
So they can technically go with the pedestrian crossing. So the pedestrian crossing goes with the through movement. So those going left, once the left hand signal comes on, nobody can cross. So
right. I guess my question is, when you did an analysis of like the timing and the delays and such for that, because that's a protected left lane, but it's short right now, people make the left, they run a red light or really run a yellow light frequently, right? And if you are stopping the slip lane at Treat and Buskirk, the delay, like the line of that as people shuffle to try and make that turn for the on-ramp, I suspect there will be even less people for that left lane. So was there an analysis done
Yes,
just
we-
on
we
like
did
traffic
that. So-
pattern there?
yeah, so I'm glad you're asking these questions. So what we did was when we are optimizing signals, we look at every movement, right? And then we also look at the approach. So this level of service results that we presented to you was just for the overall intersection. But if you look at our model, or if you look at the report itself, the report gives you all the measures for every movement.
Perfect.
So what we try to do is side by side, we try to see, okay, this is the existing condition. We want to provide enough time so that we don't get complaints from other people, right? So we provide enough time within the cycle length to meet the needs of all the movements. So those are part of the decision making in selecting the cycle length for the corridor, because we have to select appropriate timing for all the movements that you are talking about.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was looking to confirm. Okay, on slide 13, you here, what does ramp gore mean?
What is what?
Ramp gore? You have it in the sentence. I don't know what that means.
It's where that.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
okay,
Yeah,
go ahead.
the
Please.
goal. So it's kind of like, how would I, without a drawing, can you get to the area?
Oh, I don't. Oh, yes, the area, yes.
Like,
Oh, so it's not shown here,
it's not shown, yeah.
but it's where the trucks decide to go to straight to the truck scales. So that would be the gore. That's
Gore.
where
Gotcha.
It's got
Okay.
like a V.
yeah.
Right. Okay. Because I know right now when people use the slip lane and they stop instead of continuing to go the traffic. So cool. And then on all of these that you're eliminating the slip lane for, are you planning on there being no right on red, or are cars still going to be able to make those right turns on red?
Yeah, so they would be able to make the right turns on red. But then we're also going to put, there's a design feature where when the bicyclist is detected in the eastbound direction, the no right turn on red sign will come on. So if there's no bicyclist, people can make a right turn on red. So that helps with the operation of the ramp.
And is that for all 3 slip lanes that you're removing, or just the one shown on this slide?
So it will be, I think, the two locations. That will be the northbound ramp and then the one the westbound right at North Main. So those are the two places that I know.
Great. Okay, and then on the two charts that you had letters that were like F through something. Are those letter grades, or
Yeah,
because
letter
F
grades.
seems to be failing, and you said F or better?
Yeah, well,
Confused by that.
It's a ranking from A, B, C, D to F.
Okay.
Right. So F is the worst operating condition, but you can see, right, even with the no build condition, it's already there.
So it's not lowering the grades; it's
Yes.
just keep maintaining.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, Vice Chair.
All right, thanks. Can we go back to maybe the earliest diagram? Kind of showed the whole scale.
This one?
Okay, so I'm just going to preface my questions with lower right-hand corner is where I've worked for 10 years.
The off ramp?
Yeah, right, I've worked at the off-ramp. No, the Pacific Plaza building in there. Kind of, yeah.
Sorry, my
and then
question was.
over there, Treat and Oak, and upper left-hand corner, of course, past North Main and on North Main, restaurants, shopping. So over the last 10 years, I've become, I will say, an expert user of this stretch of road, both as a driver and a pedestrian. So that's why I may have a lot more questions or comments. So I'm going to skip my comments. I delineated them because sometimes I get in trouble going into the comments. So can you show which, I thought some crosswalks were getting eliminated.
Yes.
Can you show those, please?
Yes, it's this crosswalk right here, the north or the south-north crosswalk.
Okay. And that's the one that you felt wasn't a lot of demand for. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. That one, I would say, as a pedestrian, was always super dangerous because of the slip lane. That was really kind of taking your life into your own hands. So that may not be bad because generally I hate to see crosswalks go away. Go to this page here. Is there a reason why we never had or can't have, especially on the bridge that goes over the freeway, eastbound pedestrian walkway? Is that completely unfeasible?
With feasibility, or our assessment of feasibility here is just what the feasibility study explored, and the south or the sidewalk on the south side of the bridge was not one of the elements that were discussed, and yeah, so because it will also require the widening of the bridge, of course, and that comes with crazy expenses, and we actually have a good document that documents that what would be that value of money that would require the widening of the bridge, along with, of course, schedule issues with Caltrans and more coordination.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like a lost opportunity because I think that's a sorely missing pedestrian link. So we're going to let bicyclists go down that side of the bridge and be protected, but we're basically still going to ban pedestrians from going down that side of the bridge. So depending on where you're walking, it's a big inconvenience factor to pedestrians to have to go up to the other side of the bridge and over and wait for all those signals to cross.
Yes, I understand.
Your very first 3D picture might be, okay, is that missing a lane on the right-hand side there? Because there should be 3 there, right?
In the eastbound? Sorry. So
Yes.
in the eastbound here, it's showing, it's 11 and 12, so there are 2 lanes here. And the third lane, I believe, is what's being converted to this bike lane and the buffer.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
this is the trade-off.
we're taking a lane of traffic away between North Main all the way through to the bridge to Oak Grove.
Yes, I believe so.
And then are we also taking that lane, so once you cross the 680 off-ramp, Buskirk intersection, are we also getting rid of a lane for the bike lane, the traffic lane?
So going back to the question about the lane removal, so eastbound, we're not removing any lanes. We can actually fit in those 2 through lanes with just by 2 through lanes, the buffer and the bike lane, by doing lane narrowing. So there's no lanes removed there. In the westbound direction, though, We are losing one of the through lanes, but if you think kind of near that Sprout Shopping Center, the lane drops anyway. So from like a capacity stance, we're just kind of dropping that lane a little bit earlier
Okay.
in the westbound direction.
Okay, so we're not losing anything eastbound.
Correct, in this view right here at the intersection.
Okay. But a little further down, we're losing one.
Right after the off-ramp.
Okay, so off the op-ramp and all the way down. So once you cross Oak Road, there is sort of a right turn only lane that goes all the way up to Jones, right? Is that going away?
The one that goes around the BART column?
No, I'm talking eastbound.
Yeah, eastbound. Yeah, sorry. So the one that, the eastbound direction, so this lane right here goes around the BART column as
Yeah.
well. So yeah, this lane is being replaced by the bike lane.
How about when so if you're on Oak Grove, northbound, Oak Road, sorry, and you turn right onto Treat, currently right now, there's the traffic lanes, and then there's like a right turn only lane that goes all the way up to Jones. Is that going away?
Right, yes. Here, this free right turn is also being closed as part of this project. So yes, the answer is a yes to the elimination of this
That
lane.
entire lane is going away?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. And then the 680, so we'll have signals now. So you take the 680 northbound, you come off, right now you have the free slip, which, by the way, people slam on their brakes there when there's traffic because they want to go all the way over to BART. So it's really dangerous sometimes the way it's configured right now. So there'll be signals there. So if people have a green light, they can kind of emulate the slip. But otherwise, they'll have those two lanes that turn right from the off-ramp onto Treat eastbound. They would have red lights. And then when bikes are detected or someone's pushing the pedestrian button, the no right turn on red light will come on.
Correct.
So then my next question related to that and any of the signal improvements we're doing in this whole section, will those pedestrian buttons take priority over the signal timing? So in other words, traffic's kind of flowing, you got, I'll just say, 200 cars coming along during commute hour, and one bicyclist pushed the button, and all of a sudden, 100 cars have to stop for that one bike. Or, because I've seen in various places in the city, whether it's for cars or pedestrians, you can be going down a thoroughfare and just one car will make everyone else stop with no wait for that one car. Is that what we're going to see with these pedestrian buttons, bicycle buttons?
So even though these are county intersections, the city actually maintains them from the signal timing perspective. So operation-wise, it's similar to Ignacio Valley, where it's about like getting that green wave of vehicles, to your point, those 200 plus vehicles going through. It's about getting them through in the green wave and then accommodating the pedestrians, those side streets, the left turns around that peak direction.
Okay, that's good, because I was going to tie that into sustainability. When we give priority to like one pedestrian, one bicycle, one car, and we get 200 cars idling, I like to call it idling smog we're generating, which doesn't sound very sustainable. So, okay, I think those are all my questions. Thank you.
All right. It's nice being chair because everyone asks such great questions. Helps me. I would like some clarity. What path are you referring to, Commissioner Ash, that already exists? And you're free to answer that too, but clarity on that.
Yeah, just if you drive down Treat, there is the pedestrian bike bridge
Yeah.
that connects into both that's part of the Iron Horse Trail.
Right. Okay.
And then it connects just at the bottom of that, like sort of, if you look at the map past Jones Road there, it connects in a 1/10 of a mile to the Canal Trail, which goes from all the way down to Lime Ridge,
Right.
under Oak, under all of
Okay.
those things.
I just wanted to clarify that that was what you're talking about. Thank you. Are there plans for any beautification around this, or are the bike paths going to be painted? I'm just wondering, how clear some of this is going to be, and I think that some beautification efforts might help. So I'm curious if that's part of it.
So the green thermoplastic that we see sometimes in the slides are only placed at conflict points where we expect any kind of merging between vehicles and bicyclists, or at bike crossings. But to have this like continuous green thermoplastic stripe, it proved to be tough on maintenance over time, and it just wears off. So these pavement markings are only at the conflict points. Other than that, there are the vertical delineators that will visually be like visual barriers, of course, to the drivers, and just delineates those bike lanes. But other than that, beautification, I think we're thinking more on the practical side and the safety side more than the beauty. But I wonder how or what efforts can be made on that front.
Okay. And then as far as the lane losses are considered, for instance, the one approaching Main Street, are there plans to have early notice down the block for people so that they can plan where they're going to turn and avoid chaos and switching lanes and that kind of a thing? People are creatures of habit, and they're going to want to do what they've always done forever on their commutes. Are there plans to make sure that that's identified early in the block?
Yeah, this was a major comment during 65%. So this will be part of the signage refinement as part of the final design, for sure. As you said, people are used to a certain pattern, then things change, then they should be aware of it before approaching the new configuration.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Of course.
And this is 95% planned at this point.
This one is 65.
Oh, this whole project?
Right now, 65% was completed.
Okay.
95 will be completed in December.
In December. Okay, got it. So it's pretty far along. And I'm curious, since this is a project that involves the county and other groups, I'm curious what other review this has gone under, what other advisory bodies. You talked about working with stakeholders. I'm curious what stakeholders you've worked with up to this point.
Yes. I would say Caltrans, the city of Walnut Creek. We have been in constant meetings with both. The fire district, CHP, police department. So those did courtesy reviews. I'm trying to think also. The county connection also, we sent these plans for courtesy review. Go ahead. Sorry. Yes.
And then, so for the county, they have a similar body to Transportation Commission, which is the CBPAC, the County Pedestrian and Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee. So they've been to them as well.
Okay.
I should have answered. I should have remembered, but I completely forgot.
Has there been any outreach to the local businesses at this point?
Not at this point. So when we get to the implementation phase, we just assume that all that outreach and feedback from the community was done at the feasibility study time. So we just put the designer hat on and we move forward with the project.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions before we move on?
Yeah, Chair, I forgot a question, if I may.
Yes.
So in some of the traffic studies, you talked about the 2040 data. And, here we are in 2025 data land. Do you have any idea what the multiplier is? So what I mean by that is the 2040 traffic 1.5 times 2025, 1.25 times, twice? Or do you have any feel for that?
David, can you help, please?
So what the 2020 volume captures is what the anticipated growth would be in Walnut Creek area, right? So we looked at the land use projection, and that's what we used for the analysis. But I don't have the numbers here with me, so I don't know if it will be genius for me to tell you a specific number, but it's definitely higher than what we had looked at. Because by the time we're projecting it, it was around 2014. So from 2014 to 2030, that's 2040, right? That's almost, 20 years horizon. So it's definitely higher than what was then the existing condition.
That's helpful, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right. That's it? All right. Thank you. At this point, we'll open it up to comments from the public. Do we have any members of the public wishing to provide public comment on this item? Looks like we do. If you're in the audience and you would like to provide comment, please fill out a speaker card and approach the lectern. You'll have 2 minutes to provide your comment.
Sorry.
Don't start the clock.
Yeah, don't start the call. All right.
My name's Mary Lee Martinez. I live on Cherry Lane, unincorporated. I live in this neighborhood. I sent the long email today. Okay, so I went to Google Maps, and that 1 mile between the Geary and Iron Horse Trail over to the Geary and the Canal Trail over to the Iron Horse Trail is 1 mile. Biking, it takes 5 minutes. I put in Geary, take the canal, and take it over to the Iron Horse Trail. That's 1.4 miles or 8 minutes on a bicycle. This project went from $4 million in 2014, and I used to be on the MAC, the Municipal Advisory Committee, but Karen Mitchoff sunsetted it, so this actually came to the MAC in 2014. At that time, the projected cost was $4 million, and now it's 6.2, and the city's projected cost has increased, and it will no doubt increase again. Let's see here. The canal trail is missing from all of these diagrams, and that's just crazy. That's just crazy. Because this is the canal trail is terrific. $6 million on that trail. I mean, you could add trees, benches, water facilities, all kinds of stuff. Let's see, the U-turn. Okay, so if people are coming out of Walgreens on Treat, and they go to Maine, and they make that U-turn because they want to get on 680 southbound. I mean, that's just crazy. And I know that people aren't going to stop and wait for a bicycle to come across that 680 entrance. I was all calm before before this meeting started, but now I'm all worked up. Let's see here. I live in the neighborhood. This whole area is bad, even on a good day. And so just remember Valencia Street and the San Rafael Richmond Bridge, they're reconfiguring or removing the bike lanes there. So I encourage you to not consider this.
Oops, thank you very much. Any other public comment? Looks like we do have some.
Good evening. I'm Larry McEwen. I'm with the Walden District Improvement Association. We serve a population of about 10,000 residents in and to the north of Walnut Creek. When this proposal was pitched to us 7 years ago, we registered our vigorous objection to it on the basis it was a $2 million project then, and now, of course, it's $6 million. $6 million for a 3-block long section of bike trails. These bike trails are going to be inserted into a section of Treat Boulevard that handles 40,000 vehicles a day. It's interesting that a good portion of the funding is coming from the Highway Safety Improvement Program. And this incorporates several of the highest accident rate areas in this area. Our concern is that this bike lane will end at North Main Street, and there's no place to go north or south from there. To go further west, you have to go on city roads until you reach the Canal Trail, which again mirrors this trail. The Canal Trail, 2 blocks south of this proposed bike path, is a dedicated pathway for pedestrians and bikes. I'm curious as to whether or not any bike groups have pushed for this project. And if not, I'm curious as to where the emphasis for this project originated. When we held our meeting, some bike groups approached us and said they're not going to use this. This is a terrible plan. And we would like to echo that sentiment to this group. I appreciate the chance to address this group. Again, we contacted our supervisor 7 years ago, and we have not received any feedback from Supervisor Mitchoff or Carson in that time. Thank you for the opportunity to address the city.
Thank you for being here. Any other public comment?
Pardon? Oh, I didn't. Oh, thank you. Okay, I can do that. Hi, my name is Kathy McEwen, and I live in the area right off of all this stuff. We have a lot of people that in the neighborhood that have bicycles. Nobody thinks this is worthwhile. Nobody needs to get from here to there and have all of this happen. They just use the canal path. I don't know why that hasn't been a huge thing. I'm very curious as to what group is pushing for this, because no one that would be affected by it seems interested. They don't even want it. So is there, I don't know if you have that, who brought this up, who started this whole thing, who said we need a bike thing for that? Who needs it? Because everyone else around is saying, what the heck are we doing this for? It's going to ruin the whole area. Anyway, that's it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, we're going to take it to commissioner comments. I'll go in the opposite direction this time. Yeah.
Can I ask a clarification question to something we heard? Do we have numbers on how many cars, how many pedestrians, and how many bikes cross through this? I don't know if I saw that.
Cars, yes. It's 48,000 a day. That's like sorry. Yes, so the average daily traffic on this corridor is 48,000. As for pedestrians and bicyclists, I think, I'm not sure about those figures, but I believe also that if we construct bicycle improvements on this corridor, it would invite more bicyclists to use it because it will be safer than the current or the existing condition. So maybe that count might be misleading if we have a count right now.
Okay, thank you.
In the old study, there were 3 bikes in the morning and 3 bikes in the evening rush hour.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sorry.
Information is out there and the county has it.
Any other comments from the commissioners?
Well, do
Or
we need-
comments?
I just
Yes.
want to ask Matt, do we need to let, I think you said something about the student commissioner going first?
Oh, okay. Okay, student commissioner, please, first for your comments.
No comments.
Okay.
So you want to go this way?
Yeah, we'll go opposite, give you guys a break.
Okay. You could guess I have comments.
I know you do.
Now,
I see
and,
your notes.
you know, one comment just for the benefit of the public, I think, you know, and anyone from staff, please chime in. I mean, I think we're an advisory commission, so we're going to give input, and hopefully some of our input makes its way into the final project, but we're not actually here voting whether or not this project is completed or not. So I just want to say that for transparency, to set expectations. I do have mixed feelings. You know, as a pedestrian, for the most part, I love the project. As a driver and thinking about traffic, I've got some really heavy concerns about this project. So that's really mixed feelings, but I guess I have to balance that or tip the scale. You know, our mission in the city is, you know, Vision Zero and reducing and eliminating pedestrian, bicycle injuries and deaths. That's what we're striving for. So, you know, I don't know how many people will use this, but I certainly hope there's less injuries for whoever uses it. You know, and one of the places I feel the most exposed, and all the times I've walked up along this corridor, is on that bridge. I'm always worried about cars going to jump off the curb and hurt me. So I think now there's going to be a little more buffer area for the pedestrians. So I think that's really good. We're going to narrow lanes. I have mixed feelings on that. I know the data shows people slow down, but I don't know. We have some crazy drivers around here, and then I get a little nervous with narrower lanes and crazy drivers. Yeah, I think, again, losing that slip lane from 680 to Treat, I can see both sides of that. I see a lot of danger with the slip lane because the cars come off the freeway, then they slam on the brakes because they realize I'm going to get over all 3 or 4 lanes to BART no matter what, and then they stop everybody on the freeway. So putting these signals would probably stop that behavior. I would hope it would. At least on the diagrams, the Oak Road to Jones westbound bike lane, that looks kind of dangerous because it's not going to have the vertical separation, right? At least from what I saw in the. Correct. Yeah, so that one looks kind of dangerous for the cyclists, just to be honest. I don't know if you want to consider the plastic bollards to give a little more incentive for drivers not to get into that bike lane. In terms of traffic studies, having observed a number of projects in the city, even long before I was a commissioner, the traffic studies have generally said, and the data has generally said, things won't back up onto this or that. So 2 classic examples, the Chick-fil-A on North Main, the study said, yeah, that won't back up onto North Main, but it does. It's sort of a traffic nightmare. When we had Bank of the West leave at Cherry and Treat and let John Muir get there, but we didn't expand the length of the left turn lane there, I almost got hit 3 times just the other day by people. It backs up into the main traffic lane, and then everyone juts out. And if you're in the middle lane, you might have to slam on your brakes. So I would just say, whatever you think your traffic study says, I would double it. And that's probably what you'll really see. That's just Charles's, empirical feelings. So when you do any future presentations, this is just a recommendation. When we do like the before and after queuing or things like that, I think it would be a lot easier to understand if you could take a diagram like this and then superimpose the numbers where it sits. I get a little confused looking at the tables, so just a little request. And I think those are my comments. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Patch.
Okay. So you might have picked up on this when I was asking questions, but I live on Jones Road. So this is actually what I use every day. And I am one of those people that will not go and use the canal trail because it's actually significantly out of my way because it's the opposite direction of where I need to go. And I also won't use the bridge because, again, it takes me out of my way to go to it. I use the Oak Road, Treat Boulevard intersection all the time. People on this commission know that I've had a couple of near accidents with my scooter. Most of them have happened in the slip lanes that we're talking about. So I understand the importance of the safety for pedestrians and bikers and scooters that we are talking about because I am one of those users. So I'm thrilled that we are taking this seriously. The fact that these intersections are what you said, 2, 5, and 7 of the county, like that says a lot about how dangerous they are. So very excited to see this. I have a couple of suggestions, I think, that could mitigate some of the concerns we're hearing from vehicle traffics. The first one is if we're eliminating the crosswalk where that 680 off-ramp is from the northbound direction, if there's going to be no crosswalk there, I guess I'm a little confused as to just if we can do a better job than just completely eliminating the slip lane into a road there, right? Because that section and the way to exit there, you have the on-ramp coming from behind you for people who are getting on and then need to merge left quickly to get onto the freeway because it comes into a turn-only lane. And then you have people on 680 who have to get into that lane to make the right turn. And when traffic stops or gets backed up right now, you have a lot of traffic on 680. And so I understand that you've been talking to Caltrans and they say they aren't worried, and your diagram says that the backup won't go past where the split is for the truck off ramp. But in my experience, that's not true as the traffic is currently. So I am pretty nervous about what that is going to do to traffic on 680. I used to live in the apartments across from BART, and so I was one of those people that had to make the far over to left to make that left turn. And my roommate complained frequently about how dangerous that was as a vehicle. And so if you're adding more signals and stoppage to that, I want that to also be part of it, right? If you were not worried about pedestrians and it's just the bikers, maybe instead of putting a bike lane on each side of the road, there is a bike lane going both directions on one side of the road on the opposite from that 680 off-ramp. I've seen cities that do that really well. It does mean that you have to move the bicycles over for that portion, which can be a little irritating, but if you're already doing that for pedestrians, you already have to put up signage, et cetera, to direct people. So for that overpass section to eliminate the confusion around the slip lane from 680, that could be a way to work this. The other thing that I am really concerned about is what is showing, or was showing, sorry, can you go back to where the parallel parking diagram is? It's one more, I think. Yeah, I mean, this works. So in this section on Treat, you have the sidewalk, the parking, the right turn, bike lane, which Commissioner has already identified as going to be a little dangerous. I'm wondering if we can flip this around a little bit, and I understand you're 65% into this project, so this might be too late in the game, but I have seen cities where they have a sidewalk, then they have protected bike lane, and then they allow for parallel parking of cars. And that creates safety for those on bicycles. Since there is behavior here of people who are not gonna go over multiple blocks to get to Canal to go up, you're gonna have people using bikes, especially as more and more multi-family housing goes in this area. And so I think that's a way we can address keeping the bikes safe, but also keeping that parallel parking. And then I have to address the like behavior of humans is that they don't want to go out of their way, right? So we have just finished building lots of multifamily on Jones Road. There's another plot that is has been allowed to build once something comes that way. There's additional housing going in near BART, right? Like that is a very housing dense area now because it is BART. And so you're going to have an increase in pedestrians and bikers. I think that it's great that we're prioritizing them. I'm very happy to see that. I do think we need to acknowledge that people don't go out of their way. So that's the behavior that we're trying to accommodate for. And since that was brought up, I just wanted to acknowledge that human behavior shows people won't go 8 minutes out of their way. They want to go the fastest, especially actually if they're walking or biking, because that takes more energy than driving does. I think those are all of my comments. Appreciate you coming for this presentation.
Thank you. Commissioner Ash.
Yeah, thanks. So I want to echo what the vice chair said that we are not a decision-making body here. We just get to give comments and receive information. I am all for more bicycle lanes and safety. I think it was a good question to ask because there is a trail that some of our audience has also brought up very close by. I'd love to even see the numbers on that, maybe as a future presentation from East Bay Parks, like how for all the trails that go through like Walnut Creek, like what's the bicycle pedestrian count and how it helps people get to BART would be interesting to learn. I wonder what we can do here in the meantime, because this project seems several years off still. If there's something we could do with the signal timing that you're talking about sooner than later, that we could start implementing here. I think that if we can get that done in the next 6 to 12 months, that becomes a win. And I'd like to point out that we built 1,800 miles of the Transcontinental Railroad in 6 years, and this is taking 10 to 12. Not that that has to do with the two of you, but government efficiency here. And so if we could do that signal timing, you know, something in the next year that can help with that Vision Zero goal of saving one person's life in the meantime while we're going to this bigger project, is that possible? I would just suggest to look at that. So thanks.
All right, thank you very much. Yes?
Sorry, I did think of one more comment. For the beautification thing that you mentioned, which I thought was a great question, if you do close slip lanes, it's a great opportunity to put trees or plants or something and increase sustainability. It's because you have to build a sidewalk anyways.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Vice Chair.
May I add one more? Thank you, Chair. Just building on Commissioner Patch's on the same slide, the other bad traffic behavior I forgot to mention here is that when Treat backs up with the red light going this way, many times I've seen drivers then quickly cut over into that right turn lane, right? And so now they're going to cut across the bike lane and might hit a bicycle because they're like, I'm not going to wait here. I'll go this way and zip around. I've just seen that over and over. So I'm thinking about, I think on Wiggett, we've done the sidewalk, bicycle lane, parking, roadway configuration. That was the word I was struggling for. So I've seen that on Wiggett, and maybe, as Commissioner Patch mentioned, that might be better here for the safety of the cyclist. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. This is a very complicated project, and there are so many factors. So thank you for your work up to this point, and thank you for this presentation and for your patience with us as we try to digest it. I'm all for trying to make this corridor safer. My husband actually works in this neighborhood, and we walked to lunch just the other day, and I had this feeling of, this doesn't feel that safe, like walking this area right here. And so I'm really happy to see the efforts to improve safety and to improve comfort for pedestrians and cyclists. I'm a big fan of narrowing lanes. I do think that helps a lot. I've seen it done in a lot of communities around the East Bay, and that helps slow down traffic. And I think it naturally slows down traffic and will naturally help some of these issues. So I'm a big fan of seeing that. I like the idea of having the bike lane next to the sidewalk and then the parking. I think they've done this in Sacramento, and I'm curious to see, as they've done this in more communities, how successful that's been. I do think it's important to think about expanding stakeholder outreach and research as you move forward with this project, just to make sure that we're covering all our bases. I hear all the concerns from the community. I can just imagine unintended consequences from this project, the backups on the freeway, et cetera. I just, bless you, this is a complicated project. And I'm glad I'm not the one figuring out all the pieces. But I just hope that as we move forward, we're being really mindful of all the stakeholders and all the pieces that are at play. So at that, thank you for your work. And if there's nothing else, I think we can move on. All right, great. Thank you. Whew. All right, I feel like we need a break after that.
Do you want to take a 5-minute because the next
Do you guys
one
want a
is big.
5-minute?
Yeah.
Okay, the next one's big, so we'll take a quick 5-minute break. Thank you, everyone.
Exactly what I was talking about.
All right, everyone, we are back. Hope you've recovered. I'm just teasing. Next on the agenda is an item for commission consideration, the Downtown Curbside Management Plan Draft Recommendations Update. Please proceed with your presentation.
Okay. Yeah, so evening commissioners, again, my name is Brianna Byrne. I'm Associate Traffic Engineer here at the City of Walnut Creek. Tonight, bringing forward to you guys again this curbside management project. This is our third presentation to date. And as Commissioner Brightman mentioned, this is the one where we're bringing the recommendations to you all. So tonight's discussion, very, very brief background and then an overview of the data and the outreach findings. Again, these were brought to you in presentation 1 and presentation 2. And the bulk of this this evening's presentation will be about our draft recommendations and kind of where we are in the project timeline. And then for any new viewers, so this curb management plan, we're looking to set data-driven standards to optimize the curb by balancing parking, loading, pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure, placemaking, accessibility, safety, and equity in our downtown Walnut Creek area. And again, for any new viewers, curb space and curb management, what does that really even mean? So from curb space, this is the area where, maybe you think a parking lane would be, but it could also be bus stops, loading zones, space for bike lanes, curb extensions, parklets. So in these lower photos, these are in downtown Walnut Creek. On the lower left there, this is at the intersection of Main and Bonanza. This is actually a bulb out within the intersection, and it's kind of a beautifying, placemaking way to enhance our curb space. And in the middle, we have some bike parking, and then we have a bus stop. So when we talk about curb management, it's about organizing all of these uses, sometimes competing, sometimes they work together, but there's a lot of demand for the curb space, and it's about managing that and balancing amongst all those users. So background, this effort that we're in the middle of right now is it's grant funded by the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, MTC, and it builds on a previous study that the city had done called Rethinking Mobility Plan. From that plan, there are 3 strategies that we're, adding to. So the first one, improve parking and curb management signage, evaluate zone and demand-based pricing, and then consider municipal garage pricing and demand. And then on the slower section here, just to remind everyone, the City of Walnut Creek, we do have an 85% utilization for on-street and garage parking. And so what this does is it balances the asset. So the curb, we have a lot of attraction in the downtown area. And so this curb as an asset, we're managing it so that people can get to these destinations. So with this 85%, if we're imagining a block face has 10 spaces, 2 or 1 of those spaces are open. This allows for someone that maybe wants to pay a little extra to park next to the curb. They can easily get a spot. There's no need to be rotating around the block to try to find that one space. So 85% is really this industry sweet spot for utilizing the curb at its most efficient, but also leaving space for those that need it. So our study area that we looked at as part of this project, we went really as far north as Parkside, as far south as think Las Lomas. There's some meters in that area, a little bit past Kaiser. And then east and west kind of extending into our west downtown specific plan, and then Broadway, Civic along the east side. So on-street spaces in this area, we have about 1,500. Just a little bit more than what we have in our city-owned and operated garages for a total of 3,000 spaces. So again, these are the 3,000 city-managed spaces. Within the study, we included non-city operated lots and garages. So this is really just to kind of get a big picture of what's happening outside of what the city operates. This is not by any means all of the private lots. These are just the ones that we reached out to and were able to get some type of data for during our collection period. So for the analysis that we're going to talk about tonight, again, that's just a partial private lots and garages, and that is similarly around 3,100. So we're talking about maybe 6,000 spaces as part of this plan. So when we did our data collection in October, the top line, we have our weekday. So this was a Thursday in October. There was no events. It was good weather. We saw 88% parking utilization on street. So again, this is above our goal of 85, and we're kind of, this is where we're going to start to see people getting frustrated and circling the block trying to find a space. But at that same time, our garages were only at 57% full. If we put that into actual space numbers, those on street, there's only 117 spaces, but our garages, we saw 1,700. So it's just one of those, like, how do we get these people to the garage? And then on the Saturday, again, typical Saturday in October, the on street dropped a little bit, and this does reflect kind of how we drew our area A. The area near Kaiser is really popular on the weekday, but not so much on a Saturday. But again, on same time, same peak, but in the garages, there's still plenty of space available. With the slight caveat that, you know, some of these garages are being used a lot more than others. So there's a lot of numbers here, but the one to point out is our South Locust garage. So this is the one that's really kind of in the heart of everything. It's just north of Mount Diablo, bounded by Main and Locust. And it is also one of the city's, it's the city's smallest gate-operated garage. So again, high level, the data takeaway. So where we saw over this 85% occupancy was on street in Area A, where Area A is this green. Think about that core downtown area. And then we also saw over 85% in the Broadway Plaza garages, and that's one of our private partners that we worked with. And then the city's South Locust garage. Staff also did additional data collection during the holiday peak, and this was really to understand what happens to our downtown at the peak of the peak. So when looking at that over 85%, we saw the same thing under the typical conditions, but we now also added the Lesher garage, and this is one of our larger garages, but it also facilitates the demand for our Lesher Performing Arts Center. And we have the Nutcracker performances over there, so that garage did reach 100% during the holiday season. Looking at parking duration, Area A, we do have 3-hour meters. Generally, people stayed 1 to 2 hours within that core area, Area A. If they were in the garage, people stayed closer to 3. B and C, so B would be the orange on the north side. And then C is west downtown. People, if you're parking on street at the purple meters, which allow for up to 10 hours, people were staying around 3. During the holiday season, Area A, that parking duration shifted closer to 3. People were staying a little bit longer to do their shopping. And the other note here is while the city does have a monthly parking pass program, it's in very high demand, and there's a wait list of 6 months to a year. So taking this information to our stakeholders, some internal, some external, we wanted to see if this data matched their friction points, what they were maybe having problems with that we could see in the data. So we spoke with the Parking Enterprise Fund. This is the staff, it's internal and external stakeholders where they manage the fund from like parking revenue. So this includes public works staff, both in traffic engineering, transportation planning, traffic maintenance. We have our garage operators, we have our enforcement officers, we have economic development. It's a multidisciplinary team. So we spoke with them. We spoke with our parking enforcement officers several times. our economic development team. External stakeholders included Walnut Creek Downtown, County Connection, bicycle and pedestrian advocacy groups, our youth commission, transportation commission, and the general public. The general public we solicited input from during the Locust Street Fair, and then we also have a Survey Monkey going on now through August 24th. This is for both visitors, residents. Are you a business owner? Are you employed downtown? So we are really, really still pushing to get input from our Walnut Creek Downtown and the public, especially on the recommendations that you're about to see tonight. So if there's any interest from those viewing or for the commissioners to pass this on, the QR code will send you to this link, or you can type in the web address there. So what we really became clear from the stakeholder outreach was there's actually a lot of common friction points for our stakeholders. The first one, street parking. There really is, people want to park on the street. And so it did match our data. There was mostly just anecdotes about why that preference is around, but generally speaking, it matched the data that we were seeing. The loading and curbside pickup. So in this photo, it's the yellow loading zone. So this is, I think, commercial loading. But a lot of these, say, are in very popular areas and are maybe used by people picking up and dropping off, or just stopping real quick to run inside, which then blocks the actual commercial vehicles from using it, and then now they're blocking traffic. So that was one friction point. And then also we have 15-minute curbside loading spaces in the downtown, and these were first installed a little after COVID to help the restaurants bounce back. There's a lot of to-go orders being put in, and so we had installed at least one on every block face. And just over time, it's been increasingly hard to enforce. And it's was a feedback that we received from both the business owners and even just the people trying to use them while visiting downtown. Parking for employees, this is, maybe those driving or using bicycles or scooters. Again, mentioning that monthly parking pass that we have for our garages. For anyone driving, they're likely not one of those lucky few that have that pass. So what we heard is there's a lot of maybe moving your car around mid-shift. The employees know where they can get the longest free parking, and then they'll have to run and move their car if needed. For those that, bike or scooter, we heard just of the popularity of that, but there was an inability for, say, the businesses to store the scooters. So there was no space, a secure space for those employees to then store these as an option. Wayfinding, the city, we do have an incredible amount of wayfinding signs, but it's still one of those things where, maybe something needed to be done, where even the stakeholders didn't know we had a library garage. And then the last one, pedestrian and bicycle spaces. So regardless of which group we talk to, the ped, the bike, the business owners, regardless, once you parked and you were walking around, there was a desire to have a very comfortable pedestrian space, a very safe feel. So moving now into the recommendations, as you can see, we have a part 1 here. We broke it up into 2 parts. So we'll go through this first section, pause for any questions, give me a chance to drink some water, and then we'll move on to part 2. Okay, so to support our recommendations, we wanted to establish overarching goals. We have 2 greens here. So that light green, again, this is a data-driven plan. So that light green is that data-driven portion of this plan. So we want to manage the parking demand, reduce the difficulty for finding parking, and improving the arrival experience. This is where we have that data to back up. Whatever the plan lands on for these dark green priorities and goals, we can manage it accordingly with that light green section. So moving, starting at the upper left, manage commercial loading to make freight and deliveries more orderly, efficient, and produce less conflict. Enhance downtown's economic vitality as a top retail destination for the region. Ensure that pedestrians and bicyclists can get to, from, and around downtown safely and comfortably. Use placemaking to enhance downtown's walkability and charm. Advance sustainability through mode shift away from cars. And then the last one, consider users of all ages, physical abilities, and economic standing to ensure downtown is conveniently accessible for all. So these goals, they are in line with council priorities, as well as our sustainability action plan, our local roadway safety plan, a lot of active plans and kind of actions that the city has taken recently. So now moving into the recommendations. So for the meters, the first recommendation is to create a new meter zone for those high demand areas. With the intended outcome, it incentivizes turnover within the high demand areas and encourages drivers to use the garages. As part of that, extend the meter hours of operation, extending the parking management hours. Again, we're managing the parking, we're managing the demand. We want those hours to reflect the existing land uses. So we have a lot of restaurants that are open past 8 p.m. when our meters stop. So we want the hours of operation to reflect what's currently happening out there. And then the last one that I have here, improve instructions on the meters or signage for uniformity and clarity. And this improves accessibility and the customer experience. They already found a spot. Let's make that meter as easy for them as possible. So digging a little bit into the first two, where, I mentioned that third zone, as well as extending the hours. So this is the existing data that we collected in October. Again, this is an average October weekend. On that sliding scale, we have green, a lot of open spaces, and on the far side, that dark red, closer to 100%. You can see we have a lot of high demand on average. Again, this is on average along Locust and Main Street. So that high demand warrants higher parking meter rates. Looking at, again, those overarching goals, a lot of parking management, aligns with parking management, loading. I kind of mentioned this as the friction point, but with a well-managed curb space and the open spaces, people aren't going to elect to wait in a loading zone. So it actually does improve that commercial loading experience. Trucks can get into that space. Traffic safety and sustainability. I mentioned the circling around the block to try to find your space. Again, if you can find that parking space, it does really cut down on that excess vehicles on the road. So we talked about meters, now moving to garages on the recommendation side. Improve wayfinding directly to the garages on the perimeter of downtown. Again, the garage that we saw experience capacity is really in the center. Echoing again, that's where people want to be. So trying to get them to, say, the outskirts to our Broadway garage. Get the outcome, get drivers to a place with higher parking supply. The other recommendation here, improve customer experience within the garages by creating an environment that feels safe and comfortable to walk to, from, and in. It will not only encourage visitors to park within the garage, but that safety feeling that they feel on the street, that we want them to feel on the street, begins as soon as they park in one of our garages. The last recommendation here, reevaluate the monthly parking program and potentially expand the number of permits. Really just take a fresh look at this and see if it's still serving the needs of our downtown community. So the outcome, reduced curb demand and improved employee retention where parking isn't a daily headache. Again, looking at goal alignment, Each one of these is a great parking management tool. We can get people off of those on-street spaces and into the garages. One thing to point out here, placemaking, that improve customer experience within the garage. We can really treat our garages as a unique Walnut Creek feature where as soon as someone arrives, they're experiencing all that Walnut Creek has to offer, whether that's through art, murals. There's a lot of opportunities within our garages that we can kind of expand the streetscape into these garage facilities. Okay, moving on to loading and curbside pickup. So recommendations, shift loading zones away from the busy spots. So again, this is, I want to run into Starbucks real quick and grab a cup. Oh, here's a loading zone. So pushing those loading zones away from these highly desired spots, we're going to improve the loading spaces and kind of avoid that improperly being used situation. Modify the 15-minute loading zones to ease enforcement, possibly meter. This one, it's going to need a lot of coordination with our enforcement officers, but that'd be the exact wording and how we roll that out. Would be in partnership with them. And so that would improve the ability to enforce the curbside pickup spaces and get that desired quick turnover that these were intended for in the first place. This other one, modify commercial loading time restrictions to end at 5 and make the spaces available for food, delivery drivers, for curbside pickup. So this is, think about a flex loading space. Commercial deliveries, they're very, very often in the morning, early afternoon, really at kind of the latest, right around this 4 or 5 p.m. time. So opening these up as like a flex loading space. Maybe they're food pickup, drop off, or food pickup drivers. Maybe they're dropping people off to go to dinner or picking them up after a night of fun. So there's a lot of opportunity to use that flex space. The fourth one on the list, establish a staging zone for the food delivery drivers. So giving them a legal staging area for them to be. So we can have better management and avoid this illegal parking issue that we're having. And then the last one on this table, study a digital platform for reserving curbside loading spots. This is that future focus, looking out. There's a lot of emerging technologies, and this is one of those where it would reduce the incidence of illegally parked delivery vehicles, and again, giving the city a better management tool. So again, how these fill into that goal alignment, but the modify the 15-minute curbside pickup spaces can help with that economic vitality, again, helping those restaurants as they were first intended to do. Relocating the loading zones can help with placemaking. If we can get those loading zones, say on minor streets or in commercial lane, we can then instead use that space for, that beautiful tree that was an example in one of the earlier slides. Okay, and with that, I will pause for any questions. And I will say, with me tonight, I do have some consultants who help supported. So if I look over, please come help.
All right, any questions from the commission from part 1? We'll start with student commissioner, if you have any questions.
So I was just wondering, how are you going to measure the goals that are your progress towards the goals that are not data driven? Do you have a plan for that?
Not yet. We have talked about kind of creating a prioritization or some type of metrics moving forward to really gauge that success. So it has been part of the conversation.
And then I was just wondering, what's your time frame for these different goals?
Oh, thank you. So, sorry, each one of these beautiful tables, there is this bold indication at the bottom. We tried to, delineate what we thought was near term, where staff near term is around 5 years or less. So what we thought was a near term implementation. And as we get into the next section, what is going to need a little bit more than that. So looking further out.
Thank you. Commissioner Ash, question?
Yeah, I wanted to know all of these actions, the parking fund, funds a number of key essential activities within the city. Does this increase potential revenue, not accounting for inflation or things? By like making more of these spaces available and metered, what is the impact towards that fund?
So this plan specifically is about the management piece of that. The actual fund discussion, it's not part of this plan.
Fair enough. And then you talked a little bit about the holiday impact. How do you factor that into the decision-making process when you're talking, right, 330 days is one thing and 35 days is another? Just help me understand your process in analyzing and accounting for that and what you could do differently maybe in that short window.
Yeah, and that sweet spot of 85%, it's actually a design standard across the board. So shopping centers, they would never provide as enough parking as a Christmas Day, as an example, just because the rest of the year would go completely to waste. So it's about balancing that asset. What we can do with this information right now is, we based on this data, how busy it gets downtown. So it's, we can take these recommendations, guide people to where their spaces, where we anticipate and know their spaces. We can also push, those alternative modes. We have that free downtown trolley. Like, we can really push towards those other modes.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Patch?
Just curious how you decided on 5 p.m. for the loading zone change, and could it be a little earlier? Or it's like 5 p.m. the earliest you could make that change?
So that time actually came from talking with our enforcement officers. They were they're the ones that are out there and they see it. At one point we talked about a little bit earlier. I think 5 kind of felt like the comfortable time for them because, again, as soon as you open it up, it's going to be filled. So it's again balancing the needs of the users. But 5 is not a hard time. It was just what was recommended to us from our enforcement officers.
Great. And you mentioned a staging area for the pickup. Do you have any ideas of where that would be, or is that still a TBD?
So it's still technically a TBD. So some of the other loading recommendations, so shift the loading zones away from busy spots. So, and again, once that commercial loading is done, it becomes that flex zone. So, maybe those side streets are those staging areas. Commercial lane, even though right of way is really tight, there are some sections back there that we can designate as these flex zones or as these delivery driver zones. The exact spots would come down later once we get kind of direction that this is where we want to go.
Cool. And then, I'm sorry, I did see the note that said bold equals 5 years, but it looks like everything is bold. Is that just because we're in part 1 and in part 2 things are going to be unbolded?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Thanks.
All right, thank you. I just have 2 questions. And it won't be like for anyone who's seen the movie Back to School. I won't say I have 2 questions in 39 parts. We talked about new meter zones, and I was really keen on, in the table it showed improving traffic safety and sustainability. Is that, are we basically saying in theory, you know, if we put in new zones and charge you higher prices, you're just going to go away, and all of a sudden we have less cars in that area? Is that the essential premise?
I wouldn't say go away, but the financial incentive is real. And if there is a cheaper option, and we saw the garage recommendations, we're not recommending increasing the garages. So if there's a very real cheap alternative just a couple feet away, that's that incentive balance where they're gonna, you know, put their wallet
Okay.
to it.
Have we done, or could we do, an elasticity of demand study? So the sliding scale of low to high price superimposed upon the declining sloping demand based upon price.
So yeah, the way, I guess my understanding, the way this plan would roll out, if we do move forward, this plan would not recommend that price change. There would be additional work that have to be done, and then we would bring that to Transportation Commission.
Okay, thank you.
All right. A few questions regarding occupancy. And I'm sorry if you covered this in a previous commission meeting. Do we know the percentage of employees versus visitors for the occupancy?
So that's something I'm hoping to get at least like a good figure for moving forward, because that is a question that comes up often. In speaking with like our economic development team, we do know there's a lot of employees downtown, and there's like a rough estimate where it's like based on square feet. This is how many retail employees we have, and just for the downtown and the study area, we're looking at like 6,700 employees, retail employees. That's not all at the same time, but it's spread out through shifts, and so it's something we're looking to have information on. But the employee numbers, it's not a small number.
Yeah, yeah. Are there, you talked about the staging areas, which I would imagine is kind of like a cell phone lot kind of at an airport or whatever, where you wait until you get a call or whatever kind of thing, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And are there any park and ride lots or anything like that that are on the periphery of downtown that could be used for that? Have you guys looked into anything like that?
So not necessarily park and rides. We, as part of one of the recommendations coming up, we have thought about, you know, other private lots near downtown. One of the challenges, especially with these food pickup services, when an order gets placed and a driver is assigned, it's based on proximity to that restaurant. And so a lot of what we're hearing is a lot of these drivers, that's one of the reasons why they're taking up these spaces, is to get that proximity and to get that extra little bump.
Interesting. Yeah, I was curious about those larger lots because I was also wondering if they were considered for employees as well, who I see a lot of employees who seem willing to drive and scoot to work from the periphery of downtown. So I was wondering if you were considering lots on the periphery as well for employees.
Part two.
Okay, it's coming. Got it. I'm getting ahead. Sorry. Digital platform to reserve curbside loading. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? That sounds like a monster to organize and make work.
Yeah, so I mean, it is an emerging space. I believe San Francisco or maybe San Jose, but one of like the curbside loading ways they've rolled this out is there is a physical sign with like a changeable screen. So it's, you know, from this time, the last 4 digits of this license plate, they're the ones assigned here. So from an enforcement perspective, they can match, you got it. There's other options that are maybe more in a digital space where it's all app-based. We could require delivery, like commercial delivery companies, to make use of this app, and then the app knows where the drivers are located and assign spaces and charges potentially. So there's digital space and there's also a physical space. It is an emerging thing. It's something that we could explore.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
Sorry, I do have another one. I just thought of this as you were talking about it. When you talk about the number of spaces that we have, especially on street, have you already subtracted the spaces that we'll have to remove because of the new daylighting law?
Yes. So that like data collection was done. We had already daylighted downtown.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
All right.
Okay, so moving now into pedestrian and transit space. So peds and transit, bicycles to come. So the first recommendation, study a discount or voucher program for businesses to incentivize using rideshare to get to and from downtown, especially to combat DUIs and improve access for seniors and people with mobility challenges. So thinking back to our local roadway safety plan, DUI, serious injury collision and fatal collisions was actually one of our top 10 collision trends. And so this would be one of the recommendations to combat that. So outcome, reduce overall parking demand in the area. It can encourage, maybe new users to the downtown, those that don't want to drive or don't have a car, and it can provide a safe driving alternative when needed. So the second recommendation here, improve stops, signage, wayfinding, and operations for buses in the downtown. The outcome, incentivize that mode shift. Adding curb extensions, improving the visibility for pedestrians, and improve roadway safety for all users. And then this last one, additional safety improvements for other streets on the edge of downtown. Outcome makes corridors more comfortable for non-vehicle modes, improve safety for all visitors, even those that drove. So on the right here, speaking of our local roadway safety plan, another one of our collision trends was we saw a significant amount of injury, collisions, and fatalities in our large roadways around downtown. So as part of that plan, we have a countermeasure toolbox. So really any one of these can be just ways to enhance the safety. One of them, we have the leading pedestrian interval. This is that signal timing that we currently have downtown that gives pedestrians an extra 3 or 5 seconds to cross before cars start going. So this is something that we've already done. And there's other things within this plan that we can roll out to kind of improve that comfortable feeling that even if you drove here, as soon as you start walking around downtown, you can feel that safety. And how that feeds into these goals that we outlined. And this is, again, where we start to see not everything is bold now. So the curb extensions and that additional safety improvements, maybe a curb extension here or there can be done in the near term, but when it gets into those physical improvements, there is some type of funding and design and extra thought that needs to be put into it. And then one of these goals that is filled for each one of these recommendations is that sustainability aspect. So again, improving the environment for our pedestrian and transit users, getting them out of vehicles and into these other modes. So moving now into bicycle recommendations. So this recommendation, add low stress, context appropriate bicycle facilities for getting to and from downtown, such as along California Boulevard, North Broadway, Civic Drive, and Newell Avenue. With the outcome, more comfortable and viable facilities will induce that mode shift. So from the feedback that we heard, it's those larger streets around downtown serve as the barrier. Maybe once they get within there, the speeds are lower, they do feel safer. So really creating that comfortable option to get to the downtown area. And then the example on the right here is from San Luis Obispo's downtown area, where they do have the sidewalk, the bike lane, an additional curb enhancement, and then just behind that planter box is a green loading zones, like a 5-10 minute parking spot. So, you know, you still get the bike lane, you still get some parking. It's just about playing with what space is available within our roads. So other bicycle experience, and again, these are, if we do have these high quality facilities with that buffer protecting bicyclists from traffic, we can add in additions on top of that. So study the switch to micromobility devices for food deliveries. You know, that could be, you know, food delivery robots, or that could just be, you know, like having your food delivered by a bicyclist instead of a vehicle. So the outcome would be reducing demand for curb space. Pairing these new facilities with a micromobility rollout. And so Walnut Creek right now, it's very walkable. It's park once and walk. But as we expand into North Downtown, West Downtown, there is a need to just go a little bit past that walking distance. So encourage that mode shift, increases accessibility to areas outside of our typical walking radius. Also, as part of these high quality facilities, we can do secure bike parking, you know, bike parking lockers that are big enough for family cargo bikes. E-bike chargers, this is one that require additional infrastructure to complete, and then possibly a bike repair station. And all of these encourages really that mode shift to using a bicycle around downtown. And again, pointing out this bold, not bold, we elected to show these as not bold. Again, there is a lot of physical infrastructure and funds and planning that would have to go into something like this. But looking at our goals, again, sustainability is well represented, as well as traffic safety. And then the last recommendation section that we have here, placemaking and supportive actions. So additional outdoor dining and placemaking features. This improves the visitor experience. To Commissioner Reitman's point, one of the recommendations here is the city help identify privately owned garages and coordinate shared parking arrangements, and take that information and bring it to our downtown connection and really act as the conduit to make that a feasible option for our employees in the downtown. So it would reduce the curb demand and improve that employee experience instead of having to try to find a parking space every work day. This other one, expand street closures to other streets. So think about our Locust Street Fair or our farmers market. So when we do have street closures, expanding them or adding additional hours to it. So, you know, by making it larger, we're incentivizing more visitors to the downtown. From a safety aspect, these pedestrian-only streets remove that conflict with vehicles. And then the last one here, again, future focus, looking out, preemptively study policies needed to regulate autonomous vehicles. Outcome, these autonomous vehicles, it encourages the mode shift, or it encourages away from privately owned vehicles. But we also do need to consider what happens when these cars need to park along the curb and there's no one to pay the meter. So there's just new challenges that, or new puzzles to solve with emerging technology. So again, where these recommendations fall into our goals. Getting into timeline, so we are right here in the middle, the lower middle, so July 17th, bringing the draft recommendations to TC. We are looking to bring these draft recommendations to council in early September as part of a study session. The tentative date for that is September 2nd. So again, we are still actively in this outreach portion. So we're going to take your recommendations, take their take your feedback, take their feedback, take the feedback from the survey and the businesses, and come back to TC with this draft plan and then go again to council. With that, open it up.
Okay. Any questions from part 2? And we'll start with our student member Kirsch.
I don't have any questions.
Thank you.
Okay. One thing on the, well, are we just on questions or are we on comments? What are we at here?
Questions.
Okay. Questions. You're going to love this one in your future proofing. Have you looked at air mobility as part of your curb management program? I ask because Bishop Ranch has agreed to build out a hub for Archer Aviation to bring people to Bishop Ranch from a couple of other hub locations in the Bay Area.
So Megan, do you want to step forward and help with this one? Yeah, so while she walks up here, Megan Mittman with Fair and Peers helping prepare our curb management plan.
Lots of conversations. Archer's a Bay Area company, so it's kind of an exciting jobs growth industry to be thinking about the opportunities for that. There's lots of conversations with the California Forever project up in Solano County about, so it is kind of in the news and in the conversation. The chances that it would be as relevant probably in downtown Walnut Creek from a kind of way that people would arrive and depart is maybe less so than a larger kind of employment complex like Bishop Ranch, but drone delivery could be the version of it that would be more relevant in a downtown context. We talked about sidewalk robots, but there certainly is, conversations around whether you'd get Amazon deliveries by drone or maybe food deliveries by drone. That wasn't, though, in kind of the purview of this. It would provide even more flexibility for the curb use for other things, but yeah, we didn't cover it specifically.
Thanks.
Mr. Patch.
Can you remind me how long this plan is going to be for? Because you have the priorities for 5 years, and then the unbolded ones would be 10 years, 15 years?
So once this plan's adopted, it's in place. When we could maybe see these low stress bicycle facilities, because so much is driven by funding, it's as grants come available and really kind of just working them into that pipeline.
Okay,
yeah.
Thanks.
I was going to ask one question, but I have a follow-up question. The way we did the bike lanes on Wiggett, where it's the lane, the plastic bollards, and then the parking, is that considered comfortable bike access, or is it only when we see like what was in San Luis Obispo with a real physical barrier like that concrete?
Yeah, so in that previous presentation about Treat Boulevard, we talked about Class 4. So both Wiggett, Lennon, and what's shown here is Class 4. What distinguishes a Class 4 bikeway is that vertical separation from the bike lane and the travel lane. So that vertical could be, maybe the bike lane is at grade with the sidewalk and vertically separated by a curb in the parking. Maybe it's vertically separated by a parking lane. So as long as there's a vertical separation between those two travel lanes, the bike lane and the vehicle lane, it's a Class 4. And that's the most comfortable for high-speed, high-volume roads.
My other question was about you talked about the pedestrian leading signal timing. Do we have any data yet, positive, neutral, or negative, on its impact?
That we staff has done, no, but it's overwhelmingly positive, both anecdotally and within the industry where implemented.
Great, thanks.
Yeah.
All right, and I don't have any questions for this part, so if questions are done, we will move to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience with public comment? Okay.
We have no members of the public waiting to provide comments.
Okay, then we'll open it up to comments from the commissioners. We'll start with student member Kirsch.
No comments.
Okay.
Okay, so on the bike repair stations, I love the concept. I know in the Orchard Shopping Center, as part of their plans on day one, there was a lot of nice, I want to say like 4 or 5 like bike parking with like toolkits and everything. They lasted about a week before they were like destroyed, and the screwdriver, even though it was like on an iron chain, was gone and everything. And so I think eventually it took 3 years, but they've removed all of those because it looked a mess. So I'm not saying don't do it, because I do see that there's a use and a need and that encourages people, but just keep in mind what happened over there. And like, that's a very friendly, like neighborhood-esque shopping center. And I just don't want it to be a blight, and then we're wondering what we're doing with these things, right?
Yeah, to further clarify, that experience, even talking with bicycle advocacy groups, that's happening everywhere. It's
Yeah.
just like giving out free expensive tools for the cost of being stolen. You just got to do the little extra work. But, to combat that, there's high quality bike repair stations. Often they're, to use BART as an example, there's a lot of staffed bike parking stations that dual as kind of like a repair shop where you can go buy a tube or something really, really, it's not a full bike store, but it's kind of that repair station where while you're at work, you can drop your bike off and have it worked on.
Okay, that's cool. And then I just love that you're future-proofing and thinking of autonomous vehicles as part of the equation. And I like how you don't have all the answers, but you're paying attention and you're just including this into a plan that, as Commissioner Patch points out, there's the 5-year and then there's the forever part of this component. And as technology is changing rapidly, at least if you're asking those questions and putting it in there, I just commend you for doing that, because I know a lot of cities that are like, no, or just ignore it, right? And so I think that's good. And I do know drone delivery is already happening in suburban areas in North Carolina, Texas, Florida, and Arizona. And California is actually behind for regulatory purposes on that. And I actually could see some air mobility commute options that could be good, but I mean, that could be in the next 10 years. I think LA is doing really well with the Olympics. They're expecting to for 2028, they're expecting to move 15 to 17% of visitors to LA through localized air mobility transit and make that permanent infrastructure. So just sharing random thoughts about future and everything. That might be useless, but.
We did say we wanted innovation to be one of the goals on the council priority list, but okay. On slide 17, you have you don't have to go to it if you don't want, but the customer experience with garages. I would just encourage you to also consider that an accessibility goal win, because if you improve that experience, especially with lights and stuff, it actually improves the accessibility as well for folks. So just want you to get all of your goal credits. And then I'm I guess a little disappointed that some of the biking stuff isn't the priorities. Like, it just seemed like a lot of that was the unbolded items. I do understand that costs money, but in particularly the secure bike parking, or just bike parking in general, I know is in the sustainability action plan. So it is also a city council priority. And I don't know, if you don't have places for people to keep their bikes or scooters, et cetera, then even if you do have lanes, they're not going to use them, right? It kind of is a chicken egg situation where you need both for it to work. So I definitely don't think you can do all of these things, but maybe providing less secure bike parking, but more of it in areas of garages that are unused or something of that nature, so it's a little bit more secure than just the racks on the street. I really appreciate that you took our comments from last time and prioritized wayfinding signs. I think that was something that most of us agreed on that would be important. I just want to make sure you're considering also to point out where those bike parking facilities are, because those can sometimes be difficult, even the ones that we already do have. So it's not just about pointing people to the garages, but also if they're using micro mobility, where they can park their items. Otherwise, really feel like this is looking great. I appreciate you incorporating our feedback. I guess I'm a little curious where the SurveyMonkey is posted, and if you've thought about working with downtown businesses or restaurants for them to have it and have their customers fill it out, just like here it is by the reception or billing area or something, to get people, especially those who aren't in the Walnut Creek area but are coming here to shop or eat. And also your slides look very pretty. I just wanted to say that. Thanks. Vice Chair.
All right, thank you. This is a fascinating topic, and I just wanted to, at a high level, mention human behavior and human factors and how they factor into all of this. So, we have some people that they just want to park close to where they're going, no matter what. And it won't matter what we charge, what the hours are, they're going to do it. As much as we may try to encourage or incent otherwise. No different than the exact opposite. You go out, you've seen people, you go park at the far end of the Target parking lot where there's no cars, and someone else is of the same mind as you to get some exercise, and all for whatever reason, they park right next to your car, even though there's 5,000 other spots. And I'm just using these as examples of human factors or behaviors that I think trickle into this kind of analysis. One thought, and you kind of hit this in a different area, what about seeing if the large retailers would validate or pay for customers using the lots? I know some restaurants validate, but how about Nordstrom, Macy's, or some of the other stores? That might be a very interesting way, especially maybe if there was something on the wayfinding that was like, retailers pay for your parking lot usage to get you to go to the lots. When we talk about meters, adding new zones, increasing hours, increasing rates, I'll be the contrarian here, and I would caution strongly against extending hours beyond what we already have and raising rates. At a certain point, we live in a pretty affluent area, but at a certain point, even though people will be able to afford the higher rate per hour for longer hours, people will eventually just say, forget it, Walnut Creek's being greedy. I'm going to go shop somewhere else. I'm going to go eat somewhere else. My prime example of that is Danville. It's a very short drive. I think somebody mentioned in our last meeting, Danville basically brags, hey, we got free parking. Come on down here and eat here. So we want to be careful that we don't drive people away just out of pure principle. Again, going back to human factors or human behaviors, because that could really hurt our retailers. I'm just sort of going in order. More monthly permits, I think, would be a great idea for the parking lots. I think there's some of us who are residents that actually might take up a monthly permit. And I'm coming from a perspective of we use the lots, especially the city lots. We don't like to park on the curb. We find it too painful. And we love the lots, and the rates are very reasonable. I think controlling the loading zones and, doing different scenarios with those, I think that's a great idea. The only idea I thought you had that I would strongly recommend against is putting a meter on a 15-minute loading zone. Kind of the beauty of that 15-minute loading zone in front of, Harold's Cleaners is I can just drive up there, park, grab my dry cleaning, and hopefully be out of there in 5 minutes so the next person can get it. I think if you add a meter, I don't know, because then where do you stop? Do you start metering the loading zones? Because that would be the next logical step, right?
Yeah, and I guess to further clarify where that specifically came into is from the enforcement piece. The officers right now, you have 15 minutes, so you have to, stand there and wait. We discussed actively loading, and then again, it's just like, oh, I'm waiting for my order, just 5 more minutes. As soon as you put that meter there, if it's unpaid and the officers know this person is not going to pay it, it gives them a way to write that ticket and get them out of the space. And that was really the curb management, but point taken.
I want us to think about the messaging, though, right?
Hang
on one sec.
Yeah.
If the messaging is, hey, our doing this makes it much easier for our parking enforcement officers to give you a ticket, I don't know if that's where we might start driving away, not just out-of-towners, but our own Walnut Creek residents are going to go, go find the dry cleaners up in Concord because I don't get hassled as much.
I just wanted to ask, so is like the issue that it's 15 minutes and then people are in there for 20 minutes, 28 minutes, whatever, and then it's the turnover to occupancy?
Sorry, can you repeat their question?
It is.
Yeah.
I thought it worked. Okay. Is what you're saying is like the 15 minutes becomes an issue with the turnover because it's not being turned over actually in 15 minutes? I'm just trying to make sure I understand the.
Yeah, so what they were intended for is quick run in, run out, grab that to-go order that you placed. In speaking about like what that time should be, 5 minutes felt too short. So we, after some back and forth, it was landed on 15. But again, the intention was quick turnover. You're running in, you're running out. Whether it's 15 or 5, it's a quick turnover. And really, they're kind of just holding spaces right now, with many times people are just sitting in the vehicle, either waiting for that order to get assigned to them, or it's open. It's just an open parking spot for them to be.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yep. I don't know if there's any way, I don't know what proportion of, on any given day, the cars that are parking are Walnut Creek residents versus non-residents. If there's any way we can give some kind of discount or allowance, especially in the garages, to Walnut Creek residents, that's probably a huge population of people going downtown. And could be a great way to incent the residents to use the parking lots rather than the curb. Anything you talked about things to reduce DUI, anything you can do to reduce DUI, whether it's autonomous vehicles or ride share, that's a big thumbs up. I think all the biking improvement goals is a big thumbs up, and all the outdoor dining possibility is also a big thumbs up. But I think my overall broadest comment would be when you start playing with meters, rates, hours, zones, enforcement, we should be very careful of the messaging we're sending about our city to the public. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Great work. Thank you for this. A priority for me is thinking about employee parking and having affordable options for the many employees who work in retail and dining spaces. And like I said, I've witnessed workers park in neighborhoods where it's free and scoot in. So, I think it's something that they're willing to do, and having a space that could be allocated for something like that, that's not a neighborhood, because that's not necessarily the best place for them to be for a number of reasons, but, might be worth looking into. I think looking at expanding the monthly parking program would be a fantastic idea. And I think I've brought this up before, but I think it would be good to look at even having specific types of permits, maybe for day use or even evening use, that might cater to different populations, whether it's working populations for businesses that are only open from 9 to 5 or whatever, or those who work later, or even those who just maybe come into Walnut Creek for nightlife or something like that, who want an easy, convenient option. I think that might be something that could work well. And then something that I was thinking of as we were going through all of this, you say that people like to have convenience and park very close to where they're at, and maybe people don't prefer to walk, but we have that free downtown trolley, and maybe doing a little bit more education around, you're stepping out of the parking garage. Here's a sign in front of you that says, "Where you headed today?" The downtown trolley might drop you off there or close by. Might be an interesting option, because that would be nice to see that used a bit more. And in the summer, there's AC in there. There's a lot of good things about that trolley, right? So I think it'd be good to see that marketed a bit more. And I thank my colleagues for everything that they said. I think that's all that I have that's new. Any other comments, Commissioner Beth?
You sparked an idea. I know the trolley is a county connection bus, correct? Yeah. So maybe there's a way that we can work with the Chambers of Commerce or something of that nature to get a smaller but more frequently run, golf cart or something that takes people from the garages that are on the outskirts into the high priority areas, especially since you have something around the DUIs and the senior transportation and such. That might be a way to get them to park on the outskirts but not have to walk. That doesn't help with DUIs, but it was listed with the moving seniors around, and since they're the businesses that would benefit from it, they might be willing to co-sponsor it with the city or something of that nature.
Commissioner Ash.
Well, two things. One, on building on that and what the chair said about employee parking, maybe particularly around that holiday bump. Maybe we can't offer that golf cart all the time, but maybe during that holiday bump, there's something where employees need to park a little bit further, and it could be free that 1 month. Somebody pays for it somehow, and then we guide them in via however mini transit or something to help offset all that, and that helps your occupancy goals. The other question I thought of that I heard from some of the comments was, when you talk about the wayfinding, we talk a lot about the signs, but there's apps, right? And so now on my car, it says oh, there's going to be a fire truck a mile ahead of you on the highway, right? And that's tied into Google Maps and Apple Maps. Do you know just where that's going? Maybe I'm on a future-proofing mode. Where that's going, though, to help tie in my parking to my Google Map and everything.
Yeah, so it's called, as part of this grant, MTC, one of the requirements is that when we did this existing data collection, we collect information and input it into a programming language called CDS, Curb Data Specification. So the idea is, once this, existing conditions is out there, those apps, those new technologies that are looking to improve have this computer language to use. So this plan is getting us a little bit closer to that.
Awesome. Cool.
Mm-hmm. And just one last comment from me regarding, trying to lessen DUIs and things like that. As a person who's been hit by a drunk driver, I'm passionate about this as well. And for those who make a responsible decision and might leave their cars downtown, do they get towed? Do they get ticketed? What happens? And is there a way to do a sticker that if somebody makes a responsible decision that they wouldn't be pinged? I know that would be really hard to do, but that'd be great. If somehow we could come up with something like that, that's don't tow me, don't ticket me, I made a responsible decision tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what I will say is towing does not happen often. Mm-hmm. So that's it. It would likely just be a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
It's not anything that our enforcement officers actively pursue as towing. Yeah.
Okay, well, anything to help that, I'd appreciate. Okay, I think we're all done with that, yeah? Yeah. Okay, lovely. We are going to move on to, and thank you very much for all that work. We are going to move on to item C. We have an appointment to make tonight. Our commission needs to select a representative to the Contra Costa Transportation Authority Citizen Advisory Committee. I invite staff to please present on this item.
This was just mentioned when we did rotations, that Jared would reevaluate this chair seat at this meeting. And so just want to bring it up and see if we're ready for the handing of the baton, or if we have other reasons to keep it the way it is.
So I am done with my tenure as chair, thank goodness in some ways, because I served multiple terms and it was a privilege. But I really would like to stay on and at least continue the rest of the full term here, because I'm enjoying it, I'm learning, I feel like I'm contributing, and I come back here with knowledge that I gain from there. So.
Okay. And before we move on, I want to see if there's any public comment on this item.
Seeing none.
All right, thank you. Do any other commissioners have any comments on this, or yes?
Yeah, I think what we discussed last time was we wanted Commissioner Ash to finish his chair duties, but then we thought we also might want to consider rotation so that other people get an opportunity if they desire to sit on the committee.
Okay. Any other comments on this or questions? I have no desire. I will let everyone know that. I don't have the capacity right now. I can't give up that evening.
Yeah, I also think it's really important that we rotate these
Duties.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, but I do not have the capacity, so I'm fine if Commissioner Ash continues.
Would you like to make a motion?
Sure. I motion that Commissioner Ash continues on the committee.
Could I ask that we modify that motion for the next year?
I accept that friendly amendment.
I'll second that motion.
How long is the term for this typically? Oh, okay.
I think we've been,
Something we revisit
if I
every year.
recall, I think we vote on it every year in March, like this committee could reappoint. So I think, because I think that's when this came up, right?
Yeah.
So,
So we're going to defer to the next March one? Okay.
right, so do we even need a motion?
Did
I don't know.
we need to keep it to July though? Because isn't that when it was like we wanted to line it up with the committee's changing of things? So we don't run into if our person is.
We
the
could
chair again?
appoint in March, and then you can actually switch in July if that's when it rotates there.
They don't rotate as regularly. Most people are appointed for 4 years. Yeah, I think we might be one of the few that do it every year. I mean, maybe others do, and I just don't know. But I know at least the at-large seats in the county do it for like a more longer-term cycle. So there's not the turnover.
Can I ask how many years you've been on?
4.
Since 2020.
3 as chair.
So it might be nice to, even with that 4-year, to give someone an opportunity. But I think everyone's saying they're tapped out, so maybe wait another year before considering another volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to serve on it, if you are desiring to serve on it yet another year.
Right. So I think the motion basically stands that until March of 2026, Commissioner Ash stays on the committee.
Okay.
And
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, great. Call roll, please.
Student Commissioner Kirsch,
Aye.
Commissioner Ash,
Aye.
Commissioner Patch,
Aye.
Vice Chair Krelling.
Aye.
Chair Brightman.
Aye.
Okay.
All right. Congratulations. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
service.
I'm sure
All
my
right.
wife, if she's watching, was like, why'd he sign up for something else?
All right, item number 5. At this time, I'd like to invite commissioners and staff to provide reports on their activities and or other announcements. Any reports? No?
Just a couple suggestions. I may have made this one before. I think it'd be great if the commissioners got like an email notice of events. There was that Larky Park Traffic Neighborhood event. I would have actually enjoyed attending as a commissioner to listen to the public. So if we can just get heads ups of those items, that would be awesome. And the other thing I was thinking about is, and I don't know if we can play a part in this or not as a commission, over the last couple weeks, there's just been really tough traffic around the crossings construction, you know, in Ignacio and Civic. You know, I don't know if some of that was from the water main break or if just, and then there's also been, at least on Nextdoor, people were talking about they were allowed to do loud construction, you know, late at night. But that's, I know that's out of our domain. But what would be interesting is there any way we can give any input on when lane blocking is allowed for construction projects? Because what I noticed was one of the left turn lanes from Ignacio westbound to Civic coming towards or southbound was really right around the morning commute, right? Like the absolute worst time. And it might be nice if the commission could have some kind of input on those types of blockages. And those were my suggestions. Thanks.
Didn't we have like a bike safety
A bike
event?
rodeo.
Yeah. Did anybody go to that?
You'll get an update with the staff.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Also, just wondering if staff has an update on the Woodlands neighborhood study that you guys had put a lot of time and effort into.
All right.
Any others?
Your updates?
Yeah, so since we last met, the CIP and traffic engineering submitted for the State Transportation Improvement Program. I don't want to say grant, but it is like a list of projects trying to get money allocated towards it. So we submitted a project on Oakland Boulevard to basically redesign the street, improve sidewalks. This project is already approved in our capital investment program, so it's in our CIP list. It's also mentioned in the West Downtown Specific Plan. And so here we're just casting a wider net to try to find funding to improve that. We did have a neighborhood meeting in June with the Larky neighborhood to hear some concerns and try to see what we can do to address traffic safety. And then Brianna and the CIP team have been working on this design on Oakland, which has just been recently installed this week. There still may be some finishing touches out there, but on Trinity, which is just Civic going up the hill, and then on Oakland, there's new bicycle facilities. And then my last update's 2 parts, and I'm going to have our newest employee, Edwin, come on up and share about the bike rodeo. And I'll have him introduce himself.
All right. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Edward Martinez. I'm the new traffic engineering, assistant traffic engineer for here. I started June 2nd. So far, I've had the opportunity to help out for the 2 outreach events that we did. the Larky Park neighborhood meeting, and as well as the bike rodeo that was organized by the police department in collaboration with traffic engineering. The event just last weekend on Saturday was quite a success. We had a turnout a little bit low just because we had 2 swim meets at the same time in the general area of the Civic Park area. However, we did, PD got donations from Target that we were able to, go out and procure 2 little goodie bags to, to raffle out. Since the event was 3 hours, we did do 2 raffles, one in the morning and one in the early morning and one in the late morning. So the families did have a good time. Traffic engineering assisted the police department in creating an obstacle course, which that was really fun for the small youth bicycle users to use. Learned a lot from police, the park rangers, and then us in engineering. So it was quite successful. We do have some pictures, but we didn't create a presentation, but I know Matt will share it at a later time.
There you go.
Thank you.
Congratulations on a successful event.
All right, thank you.
Will it be an annual event?
I believe in collaborations with police, the police department, they're thinking of doing some sort of outreach during the school sessions, possibly in the fall or in spring, just to get more turnaround of youth riders out there.
Yeah, great. Okay, thank you.
Just welcome to the team, and to honor your first meeting, we're letting you out here early tonight.
Oh, excellent.
It's not true.
No, there were some really good questions, so thanks.
All right. With that, I hereby adjourn the July 17th, 2025 regular meeting of the Transportation Commission. Our next regular meeting is September 18th, 2025.
Can't make that.
What?